Right now in Vin Diesel's private garage sits Paul Walker's orange Supra, but it's not alone. Next to it is something so heartbreaking that even the toughest Fast and Furious fans break down when they see it. And by the end of this video you'll understand why Vin Diesel has never truly said goodbye to his best friend, and why he never will. This isn't just another Hollywood friendship story. This is about two men who found brotherhood in the most unexpected place and built something so real that death couldn't break it. Today I'm taking you inside Vin Diesel's most private space to show you exactly what he keeps next to Paul Walker's car, and it will change everything you thought you knew about their friendship. Paul Walker and Vin Diesel met on the first Fast and Furious movie in 2001. Nobody expected much from this low-budget street racing film. But something magical happened between these two actors that went way beyond the script. Paul was the cool California surfer guy who loved the ocean and lived for his daughter Meadow. Vin was the intense, loyal type who treated friendship like family. Together they created perfect balance. From day one their connection was real. While other Hollywood co-stars fake friendships for cameras, Paul and Vin genuinely liked each other. They hung out after filming, went on vacations together, and Paul became like an uncle to Vin's kids. When Vin had his first daughter after Paul died, he named her Pauline. That wasn't for publicity. That was pure love. Paul once said in an interview, "Vin is like a brother to me. We fight, we laugh, we love each other like family." Vin said something even more powerful: Paul was the better man always. These weren't just nice words for the press, this was the foundation of a brotherhood that would last forever. But here's where the story gets incredible. In November 2013, Paul Walker died in a car crash. The world lost a movie star, but Vin Diesel lost his other half. And what Vin did next shows you exactly how deep their friendship really was. Deep inside Vin's private garage, far from any cameras or reporters, sits Paul's iconic orange Toyota Supra from the first movie. This isn't just any movie car. This is the car that made Brian O'Connor legendary. The car that symbolized Paul's character and his real-life passion for street racing. But here's the thing that will shock you. Vin doesn't drive it, doesn't show it off, doesn't even post pictures of it online. The Supra sits in a climate-controlled room, protected and preserved like a sacred relic. Vin once said, "Some things aren't for the world, some things are just sacred." This car is sacred because it represents the beginning of everything: their friendship, their success, and the family they built together. But the Supra is just the beginning. What sits next to it will absolutely break your heart. Next to Paul's car, behind a simple rope, Vin has created something that no fan has ever seen in any official photos or interviews. It's not a museum display or a publicity stunt. It's a private shrine built by a man who refuses to let his best friend's memory fade. There's a large framed photo of Paul and Vin with their arms around each other, both smiling like the brothers they became. Paul signed it with black marker, "Ride or die, always." The ink is fading now, but the message is eternal. Below that, in a glass case, are Paul's actual racing gloves from Fast 5. They're worn and creased from use, still carrying the shape of Paul's hands. Next to the gloves sit a pair of Paul's personal sneakers. They look ordinary, dirty, scuffed, well used. But they're extraordinary because they're real. These were the shoes Paul wore between takes, when he was just being himself, not Brian O'Connor the character. The most powerful item is a handwritten note from Paul to Vin. Sources close to Vin say Paul gave him this note during Furious 7 filming. It reads, "Thanks for always having my back, brother." Just imagine Vin reading those words after Paul was gone. That note represents everything about their friendship: trust, loyalty, and love. But the piece that will hit you hardest is an old metal shop stool with a wrench placed carefully on the seat. Any car guy will understand this immediately. It's the universal symbol of someone who left their tools behind. Someone who will never come back to finish the job. That empty chair with the wrench isn't just decoration. It's Vin's way of saying Paul's workspace is still waiting for him. Every year on November 30th, the day Paul died, Vin stands alone beside that chair. No cameras, no social media posts, no publicity. Just a man honoring his friend in complete silence. This annual ritual shows you that Vin's grief isn't a performance. It's real, it's private, and it's permanent. When Furious 7 came out in 2015, that final scene between Dom and Brian wasn't just acting. When you see Vin's tears as he watches Paul's character drive away, those are real tears from a man saying goodbye to his best friend. The pause before he drives away wasn't in the script, that was Vin struggling to let go. "I lost my brother," Vin told reporters later. "That film almost broke me." The entire cast and crew could feel his pain. Every scene without Paul was torture, but they had to finish what they started. That movie became more than entertainment. It became a 2-hour goodbye letter to Paul Walker. But Vin didn't stop there. He made sure Paul's legacy lived on in every way possible. When Paul died at just 40 years old, he left behind his 15-year-old daughter Meadow. Vin stepped up immediately, becoming like a second father to her. He calls her his niece, protects her privacy, and supports her dreams. In 2021, when Meadow got married, guess who walked her down the aisle? Vin Diesel. That moment would have made Paul incredibly proud. Vin didn't just honor Paul's memory through movies, he honored it by taking care of the person Paul loved most, his daughter. Meadow has continued her father's humanitarian work through the Paul Walker Foundation, focusing on ocean conservation and helping disaster victims. Vin supports every project, every charity event, every effort to keep Paul's giving spirit alive. This isn't Hollywood fake charity work. This is family taking care of family. Here's something that proves how much Paul still influences Vin's decisions. Before making any major choice about the Fast franchise, Vin asks himself one question: what would Paul think? Every movie since Paul's death has been shaped by this question. That's why Brian O'Connor didn't die in the movies. That's why they used Paul's brothers and CGI to give the character a peaceful ending instead of killing him off. Vin could have easily replaced Paul with another actor, but he refused. The franchise's heart is Paul's, Vin has said many times. Without him, Fast wouldn't exist. So Brian lives on in the background of every movie, retired but still part of the family. Every time they mention Brian at home with Mia and the kids, that's Vin keeping his promise to never forget. The global fan reaction to Paul's death was incredible. Car meets around the world still honor his memory. Every November 30th, social media explodes with tributes. Hashtags like #for_Paul trend worldwide. Fan art, car modifications, and street racing events all pay respect to Paul Walker's legacy. Vin sees all of this, and it moves him deeply. "You guys keep Paul alive," he told fans during a live stream. "It's not just me, it's all of you." The Fast family isn't just the actors in the movies, it includes millions of fans who refuse to let Paul's memory fade. But let's get back to that garage, because there's more to this story. That Toyota Supra sitting next to Paul's memorial isn't just any movie car. It's the hero car, the one used for all the close-up shots in the original film. Several Supras were built for the movie, but this one was special. This was Paul's favorite. Paul wasn't just acting when he drove that car. He was a real car enthusiast who helped choose which vehicles appeared in the movies. He pushed for authentic Japanese tuner cars like the Supra because he understood their potential. The 2JZ engine in that car is legendary among street racers, and Paul knew it. When Paul died, most of the movie cars were sold at auctions or given to collectors. But this particular Supra found its way to Vin's collection through private channels. It sits there now, completely original, never modified or restored. The paint still has the same scratches from filming. The interior still smells like the set. It's frozen in time exactly as Paul left it. Vin doesn't just own this car, he protects it. The temperature and humidity in that garage section are carefully controlled. The car is covered when not being visited. There are no Instagram photos, no YouTube tours, no public displays. This isn't about showing off a cool movie prop. This is about preserving a piece of his best friend's legacy. Next to the car, Vin keeps other Paul Walker memorabilia that fans have never seen. There's the original NOS bottle prop from the first movie, Paul's sunglasses that he wore between takes, a script binder filled with Paul's handwritten notes and ideas for scenes. These aren't valuable collector's items to Vin, they're precious memories of a friend who changed his life. The shrine also includes photos that were never published, behind-the-scenes shots of Paul and Vin just being themselves, laughing between takes, working on cars, hanging out with their families. These images show the real friendship that existed beyond the cameras and the character relationships. Some people might think Vin's tribute is excessive or unhealthy. They don't understand what real brotherhood looks like. This isn't about living in the past or refusing to move forward. This is about honoring a friendship that was so pure and genuine that it deserves to be preserved forever. Vin has continued making fast movies, taking on new projects, and building his career. But Paul remains part of everything he does, not as a burden or a limitation, but as an inspiration and a guiding force. Every success Vin achieves, he shares with Paul's memory. Every charitable act, every family moment, every professional triumph carries Paul's influence. The most beautiful part of this story is how it shows what real friendship looks like. In Hollywood, relationships are often fake, built on mutual benefit and career advancement. But Paul and Vin found something genuine. They supported each other without jealousy, loved each other without conditions, and built a bond strong enough to survive death itself. That orange Supra in Vin's garage isn't just a car. It's a symbol of transformation, just like in the movies. Brian O'Connor rebuilt that car from scraps and earned his place in Dom's family. In real life, Paul and Vin built their friendship from nothing, and created something that will last forever. The wrench on the empty chair isn't just a memorial, it's a promise. A promise that Paul's workspace, his place in the family, his seat at the table will always be waiting. Not because Vin can't let go, but because some relationships are too important to ever truly end. When you watch the next Fast and Furious movie, remember this story. Every engine roar, every family moment, every ride or die reference carries Paul Walker's spirit. Vin Diesel made sure of that. He turned his grief into a living tribute that gets stronger with every passing year. The shrine next to Paul's Supra proves that some friendships transcend everything: fame, money, time, and even death. It shows us that loyalty isn't just a word you say, it's a choice you make every single day. Vin Diesel chooses to honor Paul Walker every day, not through grand public gestures, but through quiet, private devotion that speaks louder than any speech ever could. In a world where relationships often feel shallow and temporary, the bond between Paul Walker and Vin Diesel reminds us that true brotherhood still exists. It teaches us that the most meaningful tributes aren't always the ones everyone can see. Sometimes the most powerful way to honor someone is through private acts of love, daily choices to remember, and the unwavering commitment to carry their memory forward in everything you do. That's the real lesson from Vin Diesel's garage. Love doesn't end when someone dies. It just finds new ways to express itself. And in that climate-controlled room next to an orange Toyota Supra, Paul Walker's friendship with Vin Diesel continues every single day, proving that some bonds are truly unbreakable.